All right, welcome back to the Conquest Corner. On this particular episode, we are going to be going through a battle report with I played about a week ago now, actually, versus some Wadrhun with the Weaver Courts. So I want to take you through essentially. I also thought this would be a good way to talk about overall thoughts of them. I know I did a very long video going over the different units and all the different rules and everything like that, but let's face it, a lot of it is up in the air until you actually give it a shot and try things out and see how they behave. So, like I said, this was about a week ago. We're going to go through the game and discuss overall thoughts that we had. So, let's start with lists. Actually, real quick, let's talk about mission. Mission was going to be Maelstrom. So, Maelstrom is the one where it turns 5 to 8. So you got the two big objectives near the ends, small objective in the middle. So, as I said, rounds 5 to 8, the big ones are worth more. And then all the other rounds, it's the small little 6 inches worth more. So it gives you some time to essentially get to them. And then the real turns where you're conquesting the most, you got the points actually on the ends. All right, so now let's actually take a list. We'll take a look at his list first. I don't remember what he named the list something. People go with clever names. I usually don't. It just takes me forever for names for anything. You should see what I do in D&D. All right, so he's playing Wadrhun, trying out essentially war units mostly. War and conquest kind of stuff. So, has Zion War. He has the Roar and Vision. Let me pull. There we go. Sorry, I had to pull it off to the side because I don't remember all their upgrades, what they do. Essentially, when infantry, so the Roar is when an infantry regiment this character is currently attached to. So when his regiment attached to chance to call it a conquest, which is what he wanted to do anyway, they get blessed. And Vision is essentially flank. So he's in a chosen a conquest, a little 4-block, or I guess bigger 4-block there. A lot of it was he had those chosen, so it was assenting to test them out, as well as a sign of war. Sign of war has the Kiss of Thalassor. So enemy regiments have to reroll successful defense morale against him. He is in, of course, a chosen of war unit. Also bring in a warbred unit. So multiple spots in here, especially also with the warbred chant penance, which there it is. Yeah, gives Juggernaut and don't care about hindering terrain. As we're going to see, there's also some Thunder Riders and all, so doesn't really care too much about any terrain, and that means one whole season where, oh, you have to roll lower dice and all this. No, that doesn't really happen in this army for his charge rolls. A Thunder Chieftain with the Horn. Horn, which one was that? That's the one that gives some extra trample to that unit, and also had resilience to give that particular regiment hardened 1. One thing I will set, I'll just spoil this now. Upgrades didn't matter really too much. That one would have, but the one turn where the fighting happened, he forgot it. I wouldn't have changed overall what happened, but it would have been something. All these are good artifacts. We just didn't notice them quite as often. That's part of why this took a while to do, because they just didn't get to affect the outcome of the battle as much as he might have liked. 2 3-packs of Thunder Riders. Thunder Riders are always amazing, so multiple Thunder Riders are good. And of course, Raptor Riders. Raptor is an absolutely great light unit. Nice and fast, a little bit of attacks, flurry, good wound profile for that light sitting on that 5 wounds with those 5 attacks and all. And like I said, they obviously have the ability to get some free attacks on chant rounds. So I built my list, put it together, and when I saw this, yes, I had concerns. I, of course, have concerns related to heavy hitters. Weaver Courts, other than certain units, don't really stand up well to someone staring at them harshly. So 2 packs of Thunder Riders is a problem when I take a look at it. Warbred, Chosen of War, those are problems when you take a look at them. And then, of course, the Chosen of Conquest, anytime with this, when you have a lot of wounds, if you notice, so what, there's 6 wounds. Chosen War, 6 wounds. Warbred, 6 wounds. Thunder Rider, 6 wounds. So also a lot of very high wound models. So he doesn't have a lot of units, but he's got a lot of wounds to chew through. They come on a little bit later in general with some heavies there. And like I said, Chosen War being heavy. So, hey, maybe I'm already on the board. He can kind of figure out where to go and maybe overwhelm me. Take a look at my list. So for Weaver Courts, I'm still really back and forth on exactly what I want to do with them. Obviously, just in the beginning, I want to try out a variety of different lists and just see what happens and figure it out as we go along. So, took a Rune C, gave him Drake Rider, because you're going to see that he is here on the Coila Drake, or that's how I pronounce it. Yeah, Coila Drake. I do have the pronunciations also at the side. I'm going to try to hopefully do a good job on those. There is a 3-pack of Glasgow Warriors. Oh, shoot. They are one of the units that is rather defensive because they're sitting on defense 4. They also have the trample. They have the brutal force, so they have some ways to get some cleave, and they have the impact. So if they actually get to do everything, they can do a lot of good. Seeing near riders, I went with that because, one, the more I thought about it, the Skahan, so essentially the healing, is probably very, very important. But as I was saying something else, I think I'd probably end up going with a unit of each. I do think this army, one, they do need to get seed markers down. So shooting is at a premium because you can actually get some markers down. They have aim shots, so essentially they're sitting on 3s with opportunist. So if I can get to the side, I can reroll that. Yeah, it's only 3 shots a piece, but if I can get into a good spot, I can plink some damage onto someone, get some seed markers onto them, and hopefully just not be seen. Or they fly and at move 7 means that they're reasonably cheap. Oh, Thunder Riders are coming in and I don't want them to smack into blank unit. I can throw these guys in front rather easily. And a unit current skirmishers. That's where, apologies. Rune C wasn't going there because the Rune C is going in the Drake. But in general, we don't have a lot of infantry to put our characters in. But I have 2 units of these guys. And hey, the 16-inch, I actually thought they were shorter at first. But the 16-inch is actually a really good range. And since you start the turn matching your Warlord for season, and they match the Warlord for season, they get the extra move, so they're moving a bit faster that turn when they come in, if you can get them in on the turn 1, of course. So we have our Shanahasi Hashi. I took it as Court of Summer. I'm going to say I didn't really use the spells. We'll discuss them a little bit. They're not that they're bad. I just never got around to it. The timing never worked right for what I wanted. 3-pack of Fiona Cav. Mostly wanted to try Prowl Prouts if I could get them to go off. I needed a unit to put the Sahanasi in. So I took a unit of La Maidens. Made it a 4-pack because their adaptation abilities like healing and all that kind of stuff doesn't do any good if you should get blasted down. So I tried to take an extra one. And I took the Wild Hunt because I love monsters. Whether or not it was going to do well, I don't really care. 320, very, very expensive. That was the other nice part. Since I had a proxy pretty much all of this, I essentially printed names and put them on different units and things like that. Since I was going to proxy it, it eats up a lot of points and is good. And 300 points, it better be good. The Tawasi was my Warlord. Main reason was Supremacy ability. I wanted to use that and see what I can get out of that. So for the Supremacy, as people know, when a regiment enters the battlefield as the same season as that current season, you get Vanguard 3. That helps quite a bit of movement. I thought that could be useful. And anyone who uses his special planting the ambush, so he can put on the 2 units, when he puts seeds on, they immediately bloom. Now, there was a back and forth of whether or not you need the 2 seeds or not to do that. In the rules, it says 2, but one of the FAQs, it talks about you can do it in 1. I think I made sure to always do it at 2, just in case, because I wasn't sure which one was which. But there might have been one case where it didn't happen, but pretty much I always just did it at 2 anyway, just to be safe. He's sitting in a unit of current skirmishers. 3-pack and Crown Guardians because I painted 3 trees. And I do need 4 trees. Thought in this list is obviously you have the Callaglass, you have the Wild Hunt, and you have the Crown Guardians to have some defensive characteristics, potentially get in the way, plink shots into them otherwise, and then try to hit people with whatever you can. The Wild Hunt is a really good hitting unit. I figured The Fianna Cav might be able to do that as well. And then you have a dragon. The dragon is not the most survivable overall, but it also does do a good amount of damage. It gets a volley while in combat, but it's not a free volley. Meanwhile, the Wild Hunt gets a free volley, but doesn't volley in combat. I do see shooting as important, and that's why for this particular list, I went with that as well. I said the Rune Seal on that just adds a lot of shots. That means it can shoot and attack, and it could be worthwhile because of the aim shots for both, rather than inspire swing to shoot swing. All right, so those are the lists. Let's get into a bit of the game. All right, so first turn. First turn is actually really simple. As you can see, you got our small objectives, big objectives. I put my current skirmishers. There is a thing of woods here. We have a thing of some hindering terrain. And he puts down his hunting packs. Sorry, not his hunting packs, his raptor riders. My apologies. One on one and one on the other. They're light, they can't score, but he won a little bit of each. I believe actually in this particular round, I won initiative, had him go first, so that way he'd have to put them down. But I was going to double up either way. One, if he wants to come in, I'm not going to be able to survive it. And two, this way, if he does want to go into one unit and take them down, I still got a shot at. So I have my two current skirmishers. If you notice, you can see the one over here with the separate stand. That's where my character is. So that's the Hanasi. But that is a very interesting and quick first turn. And there's a little bit of a nicer picture related to it. All right, so we end turn one. We push to turn two. No one scored a whole lot of anything. So for reserves, I actually rolled recently bad. Actually, I believe we both rolled pretty bad for reserves overall. He has very few to roll for because a lot of his stuff is heavy. I don't roll very well at all. You can see he actually gets his unit first. So he puts his, essentially his, chosen a conquest. I don't know why I couldn't think of that for a second. He's chosen a conquest there going towards the middle objective. Remember, that is the one worth more for the moment. I put my Krong Guardians down here. You can see also the card for the Fianna Cav. They're there. They come on to the far end. It still worked fine, but just because of distances, I actually played it a little bit long. I forgot that, it's a draw event for their ability. So they kind of played back to use Prowl, although that wouldn't work. Although we talked about it later, he didn't want to do a move charge anyway. And he wasn't going to be able to get a move shot really because of where I was. I made sure I was essentially out of range. I wanted to make it where on the turn, if I wanted to get to the objective, since I'm actually medium, and the Sahar are my Fianna Cav, that I could push forward. As you see, they just came out. That's why the card's over here now. I could get onto the objective, tie on that, but if I could wait long enough, he might push for something, and then maybe I could, move forward, impact, something like that to try to get some damage onto them. So that was the thought there. Going back 1 second, just quickly talk about what we have here then. You'll see that this unit did go. They did pop some damage in. They got it down to 1 rune remaining on one of these Raptor Riders. Okay. So, a little bit later, we can see he did push forward to be able to get some shots because they were further back. To get some shots, I did move up my current skirmishers. Took some pops in. I was able to essentially take a full one down. Actually, it was 4 wounds remaining on it. I was able to pop this a total of 5 wounds, so it has 1 remaining on it. So able to do a decent amount of damage with these two, put 2 seed markers on them. I used dice on the side to count seeds, and what I was doing is, I don't have it on me right now. I printed out a little thing with the 4 different seasons. I put a die on which season it was to be able to mark, so I would know. That's why my current skirmishers got so far forward, because they essentially became move 7, Vanguard 3, very far up for the one unit. The other one I wanted to stay in the terrain. And then I used 4 different colored beads to represent the seasons. So winter, I had some silver beads. For summer, it was red, and so on. That way I could mark who had what when things actually went off. So he moves up, takes some shots, does a couple wounds, takes about 3 wounds down, so it doesn't kill Stan, but gets pretty close to it. I actually rolled for, as not great as their defense is, I rolled actually pretty good there, and overall, defense rolls did a decent job on. He does move up, doesn't really do much, but essentially puts himself into a position to be able to, if he can go first, smack into the unit if he wants, or at least harass them in any way that he wishes. And that ends that particular turn. So, still no one scored anything. We push to turn 3. All right, so turn 3, I win the roll off. I get a good amount of my cards. He actually doesn't. So he does have essentially less coming in than me, but I just rolled better. Yeah, he had the +1. I just did better. So I basically, charge in, do my swings, and take down 2 of them. This one, I forget if it was at full wounds. It might have taken a few extra, but couldn't quite close the deal. I didn't use Prowl. Yes, I know it would help in terms of it gives terrifying and some stuff like that. Depending on if they had seed markers. I think they had to have seed markers for that to work, which they wouldn't have. Let me actually take a quick look. I have the list off to the side because I'm still not great with this army. Pounds. Yeah, number of seed markers. I don't think, they didn't have any. So there's no reason to use Prowl because all it would do is lower my move anyway. So no, just rushed in, attacked him, took down 2 out of 3. So far, haven't had any seed markers loom. No, actually, sorry, the ones on the far side would have. But we're now in turn 3, and we started in autumn, so winter. So now we're taking a look at spring then. All right, he gets to go next. He obviously was going to go with a unit of the Raptor Riders. We knew what each other was going to be picking to start with. So he pushes the Raptor Riders in, does his attacks. Because he was lower on the number of stands that he ended up having, I'm able to get a good amount of damage into that. Sorry, he's down to 1. 1 second. Sure, no, he must have had 2 at the time. He does end up losing 1 when these guys go in swing, but no, he got in there in time. So I'm not sure why, because I know the thing that happened after it was he went with his other unit of Raptor Riders and he did 3 wounds down to the Fiona Cav. Because obviously delaying with the chosen Conquest unit. So either way that happened, essentially, he got some hits in, but didn't do too much to the current warriors. Again, just honestly rolled really good. That's all it was. That wasn't any other great and wondrous tactic. What happens next is my Sea and Near riders come in. I'm able to position them in such a way that they absolutely do have range. So they're able to take some shots and they finish off the unit. I am able to sit in such a way that I'm in the flank, which means I get rerolls. So between that, was able to finish them off. These particular, no, I don't think they shot either. Memory serves. Unfortunately, it took a while to get the upgrades for the list, so I wasn't sure. But I do know the unit over here does go. Oh, no, sorry. They did lose more stands. Yeah, you can see it. I'm down to a total of 2 stands. So he actually did have 2 come in, did a bunch of damage. The card's off to the side. It can't quite be seen here. This unit then swings, takes out the 1, and the Seaneer are able to take out the rest. All right. Let me see if I have a next picture is better. It's a little bit better there. You can see that he put his chosen, pushed him forward. He pushes him forward so that way he blocks me from getting to the objective. But this unit has not gone yet at this point. I bring my maidens in. I'm using my ghouls as my maidens with the Sinhasi in there. But then pushing forward. And then he comes in with Warbread, walking in from the back. He can grab this objective. I have very light things. If I can get the maidens in front and time them correctly and get them into something, they have some shots at doing some work, but nothing else over here has the survivability to handle it. Now, I did have more activations than him, and essentially he got to a bit of a disadvantage here because this unit sooner or later had to go push forward. And I, honestly, here's one thing that feels like a big brain thing, but it wasn't. It kind of just lucked into this. Although I should take the credit and say instead that I planned it. So, when we look at things that they do here, when we look at the Taoise's ability, remember his supremacy, reigning season, is that, hey, when you use that planning and ambush ability, any seed marker's enemy, the seed markers immediately bloom as if the same seasonal court as the warlord belongs to. The warlord is Autumn. Autumn is the one that gives you shock. So +1 to your clash when you charge it, and it counts for the whole thing. Be aware, his chosen have rule essentially that with what they have on them. Forget if it's a base rule of them or what they have on them. Is it their chant? Oh no, it's his warlord ability. That's what it is. I didn't mark it. It is the sign of Conquest is the warlord. So he essentially, if someone chants, they get the spell like Dissonance. Dissonance essentially is like Dread for all intents and purposes. Not exactly the same, but until the end of the round, target friendly regiment chants the battle cry. Currently engaged for enemy regiments do not get benefit from Inspired special rule. And then until the end of the round, one per game, he can choose the cards from his stack. I don't know if he ever did that. I don't know if it mattered too much. That part I'm not sure. But that means that these guys here are essentially on 2s. When they charge in, they won't get the Inspire, all of that. However, unbeknownst to my sort of timing here, these current skirmishers do see this unit here. Therefore, they can shoot them. They were one of the ones that Taoisi put his ability on, because one of them targets current skirmishers. I just put that one on it. Why not? It was only here by current skirmishers anyway, which means that they get Autumn on them. And Autumn means that I get shock. So when these Kron Guardians charge in, I at least get that +1. I don't get the Inspire because he's essentially negating it. His Warlord ability is negating it all over the place, essentially when it happens. But I'm able to make that happen. So I at least get a +1. For chance, mostly Conquest or for certain units, Chanting War. Those are the only ones. The other ones weren't even used. So I didn't intend it that way. I didn't think about it because I've read through it, went through it, but I missed that was the ordering and the technique of that. It just looked out for me that I did that correctly. So that means, hey, when these guys are now ready to go, they have plenty of bonuses. So, that's why you can see that bluish bead on them to mark what season they're in, or clearish. I know it was blue. I used white for winter, so bluish was autumn. So they shot, and hey, now I get shock versus these guys. We can see his chosen of war coming in the back. Big old boys back there. And then, first unit of Thunder Riders off to the side. So he got a good roll. I didn't, but he had less units, and then he got a bad roll for initiative. He got a good roll for reserves, or in this case, hey, flank, choose someone else to come in, all of that. So I pushed forward. He did have essentially 5 wide count on the character. I take down 2 stands and an extra wound. Not bad for the fact that these guys are a lot of wounds. My skirmishers also, when they shot them, they did absolutely nothing. But I just have to hit, and I hit. So I made it a much more fair fight where I feel, I can contend now. His other Thunder Riders then come in as well. So his whole army is now on the board. I have a lot to worry about that's coming in from this backfield, because obviously he went for an overload on essentially my right side. He could easily push the first one into the unit, second one score, push through. Could end up just trying to crack both of these light units for the time being. However, I have several units I can essentially make my decisions about later, like the Wild Hunt or the Glasgow Warriors, because they're not here yet. So I still have a few things off, and the Drake. I rolled bad for my reserves. He rolled in the second turn, he didn't roll that great, but he didn't really have many to roll for. I rolled pretty bad. Third turn, I rolled bad as well. So essentially it took a while to get any of this kind of stuff in. But that's going to make it where we actually score some points. Oh, sorry. I do get my Drake this turn. So I get my Drake. That's what it was. I get my Drake. Drake shoots in to his chosen Conquest. I'm able to take another one off. And again, Because the seasons worked correctly, I was able to get this to work. Although might have technically done that wrong, but that's okay. We're still learning here. Be able to do that, that means they're broken. That means they don't score that objective. Just a picture to be able to see overall the full board. So that means for me, I score a point because I'm on the outside objective. That's it. But I still got at least 2 more units to come in. We got a turn 4. You will notice, he won it this time. You will notice that my character, or the unit with the Taoisi, all that, is entirely gone. Just hits him, blows him up even just on 1 bit. He is actually just off the objective though. Just missing it to actually get to me. I didn't quite intend it that way, but it worked out well for me. On my side, I went with Krone Guardians first because I figured... Oh, no, sorry. Didn't go with Krone Guardians first. My apologies. Went with the Quadraga because I figured, hey, maybe I can shoot them down. I took some wounds when essentially he died fighting. I figured have him go first. He's not in a great position to be able to do much anyway. So move forward, shoot into the unit. You're aimed anyway. And then that frees it up depending on if his chosen of war push forward. I can respond, or if not, I can move forward and cover the far end of the objective is the goal. We see over here, he just effectively moves forward with the Thunder Riders on this side. Nothing too crazy there. The Fianna Cav do take out that last Raptor Rider. And then I essentially hung there or moved back a little bit. I couldn't do the draw event because the unit had started too close. And what essentially we looked at, and we measured this out to be sure, where I'm positioned to try to maximize on my unit, these 2 stands are going to end up having to touch that terrain feature there. There's no way to avoid it. So if he wants to move charge me, he's going to go over, he'd get his tramples, but wouldn't get all the rest. So we at least the way we play it, we go through all of that and discuss it and figure out, so that way we know the intent. Because I had, after the attack, could have shifted these guys around, and that way I could shift them if need be. So we figured out that that was unnecessary. He moves charges in. So he brings that war in there. They have some impact. They have line breaker and all of that. So I take some more wounds. Just fine not to lose a stand, but pretty close to it because these guys are 6 wounds a pop. But a good unit to go into me because he's got cleave with line breaker and I'm 3 with a shield. So I'm going down to low numbers. So sorry, we had him do his move up. He positions himself so that way if he beats me next round on the chart, he can get in and absolutely level my Cav unit there. I tried to start taking pictures after like each thing to make it a little bit more. My current skirmishers take some shots on these guys. I do like a wound, if that, almost nothing. Oh, there it is. So the frogs over here, they're the Glasgow Warriors. So I know I needed support on this side. I know when these guys hit me, my unit will evaporate. And actually, I don't want to go first. Depending on how he hits, if he does corner to this edge, then I know if he actually does that, I'm 100% in the side. If he goes full forward, in other words, this one, because this one is 4 wide, has the character. If his last guy's here, I'm probably front. But he hits me, I'm gone. So I want this unit to go as late as possible next round to be able to hit him. I won't be able to get myself any cleave because there won't be any seed markers on him. But that's my overall goal. All right, Guardians go. They take out, they do a few wounds. I think it was like 1 wound. They did like almost nothing to this. That was actually about it there. The other thing is this, I'm doing Rakshasa as my wild hunt. So he just moves up, gets behind. I think he was able to get some shots in this because he actually gets a free shot. It didn't really do much. I popped a couple wounds, but nothing of interest there. But I'm well set. So I have two reasonably strong things in the middle to try to deal with one middle piece. He has a layered, very strong pieces. I essentially put my Wild Hunt this way. The reason why the Wild Hunt's sitting this way, effectively, there's no charge lane because too much of stuff is in the way. If he charges this way with his Thunder Riders, I can easily hit him. Because keep in mind, we of course ignore hindering terrain. Or if he charges in and blows up the Maidens, I can then charge in to the unit here. So I'm giving myself into the Warbread. I'm giving myself as many options as possible, making sure that no matter what he picks, if the Wild Hunt goes late, I can do something about it. All right, character goes, doesn't really do anything, honestly. I looked at the spells. I think I tried one of them and I failed, but honestly, the spells didn't do a thing for me. The problem is some of the spells need to be the right season, or it needs to have the 2 markers on it. By this point, it had 2 markers, but just it didn't really do me any good. I'll just be honest, it really wasn't. So just taking a quick look, trying to figure out the difference. Oh yeah, the senior riders, they walk up, boom, they do some damage. They're actually able to, the end one had a couple wounds on him, but I'm able to do enough with them again, being in the flank. So I think they are very good, just depending on where you sit them, and actually at least one of them in half range, to be able to get enough wounds to take one of those down. One of the Warbread. And then we charge the Warbread. Kill another Warbread. This, it's not a clean, the way we put it, and we figured out later that we just didn't do that quite right. This particular round, I forget what the bonus was. The bonus was an extra attack. But some of them aren't quite touching, so it worked okay. Not amazing, but I was able to get some damage onto him. But importantly, broken / not on the objective there. They're just short of the objective. They couldn't get to it. Here he's fully on the objective, and the one there still sitting off that objective. Just showing a little bit more aerial view of exactly what happened. So that means for turn 4, I score 1 more point, but he's on the middle, he gets 2. So turn 4, we are tied, going into 5. All right, in 5, he wins the roll-off. You can see that my Guardians are gone. He did inspire and swing just to make sure he killed him, because it is a lot of wounds to still have to get through. Although, I mean, it might have been worth the chancing to then charge into him, but he just didn't choose to do that. Maybe not worth it. But you'll see that they have the beat on them. These guys will as well. This should be a winter turn, I believe. Well, actually, I can think about it. Sorry, it's autumn. Next round is winter. So get an extra bone if I charge in. But again, that's good because, hey, guess what? These guys got Chant of Conquest again, so no Inspire. Pretty much most turns that kind of happened. All right, so first thing I had set up for was the Coral Draga to end up going in and hitting these guys. That was exactly what I wanted to have happen. You'll notice he starts with 3. Between shots going in, essentially I did shoot and then I shot and charged in because I think it was a little bit better looking at it. Able to take one down, do a couple extra wounds. But gives me something to go with there. I did feel I needed the Cron Guardians as well to be able to get their smacks in to be able to get this done with. Just didn't happen. And their ability to make the relentless blows on 1s and 2s is cool if you're already in and you don't care about going up Inspire because it's an action. I did find it useful in the turn where I couldn't benefit from Inspire. That did help me out against the Chosen of Conquest. All right, he goes with the Warbread. Warbread smacks down a stand and a wound from the Maidens. Nothing too great because essentially it's down to 1. Yep. And then the Maidens actually went. I had to take a look. I'm like, wait, what actually did, was it the Maidens? The problem was it's been a week. I did check, yes. It was them. I scroll forward. Okay, he moves forward, absolutely, utterly destroys my Fiona Calf. However, he just has less activations in general than my list, which means the Galglass Warriors, the turtles down here, the Kappas, that I really want to go late can wait. It means that my Wild Hunt on the far side of the right here can wait. So they're just going to end up going late to make sure that I get what I want out of this. So I did feel, yes, my units, many of them can be destroyed easily, because I have certain spots where I really want to be able to do something good. Being able to wait was very helpful. So a good amount of activation is pretty important for this. All right. So, oh, he just has characters go, stuff like that. These guys go, they take some pot shots, do a couple more wounds. These are riders, again, in the flank, really helps out. Current skirmishers push up to be able to shoot into the Thunder Riders. They do a wound, nothing too special. And Wild Hunt goes. I think this is the Wild Hunt. Yep, there it is. You can see between the two, actually. Sorry, I missed the picture. Here's the Wild Hunt. We essentially checked, since he gets a free shot, I could move into this open space here, take my shot, and then it was a charge on a 1 or maybe even a 2 to get into them. And that's exactly what the Wild Hunt ends up doing. At this point, he's out of activations. He moves up to grab the objective. Didn't charge any of the units. I guess he thought if he charged them here, then the Wild Hunt could probably make the charge and attack and all. It still might have been worthwhile, just because you have to get into me and deal me damage to win. But not sure. The big thing is I pushed up this one current skirmisher on the right is just touching the objective. And big boy, of course, is worth enough, so I'm canceling out his scoring there. This unit in the middle is broken now, so they're not scoring. And over here, Classical Warriors hit in. Oh yeah, they take off a full guy and a couple wounds. I was trying to look for the rest of it, but they do take off a full guy and a few wounds. So that essentially ends out the round. So stop the scoring here, stop the scoring here, and we are tied on units here. So no one gets anything in turn 5. We go to turn 6. Turn 6 is Winter. These guys now have will end up having multiple markers on them in a moment, which means that, oh no, them I think they could have, yeah, they only end up getting like 1 marker on them. But the other units, you'll see the white bead here in the middle, Dread. Bead over here, Dread. So no Inspires. These guys do their swings, and yeah, they get the job done. Sorry, they didn't have it. I did end up taking in the marker. Didn't need to because he should have Hardened on there, but it's enough to take them out. He does wounds back when he fights on death, but I mean, these guys, essentially, when they came in before, they took one down and did a couple extra wounds. This particular time, I only had, 10 wounds to get through. They swing, tramples at the end, all of that, eat them up. So in turn 6, I am now comfortably sitting on subjective myself. This one here in the middle, obviously just trying to get my way through. Yet, he takes it out. Again, just few wounds. Like, yes, he does swing back and actually does like 8 wounds to me with his character before he goes down. But that's fine. He's down to the 1 unit. That actually, yeah, that's the last picture we end up doing. He does have a Sunrise attack in here, and he does tons and tons of wounds. He does like 12 wounds to me. I got like 10 left. But we called it there because I have too much left on this side. And even if he scores this, he's not going to be able to stop me scoring on the other ones for turn, essentially 7 to 10. So we did end up stopping the game there. So overall, it was a good game. It didn't go exactly as I thought. I really thought this might go very different. I think, so you made a lot of good plays. I was positioned in good spots. I do think overall, personally, if I'm playing with less activations than you have, and like between the 2 lists, sorry, I'm just taking a look at it here. So mine, also just checking the time, 4, 7, 8, 9. I had 9 units and 3 characters. He had 4, 5, 6, 7 units and 3 characters. So I was up by about 2 activations. And that's assuming his Raptor Riders, when they went down, now I'm up like 4 activations or about 3 or so, let's say. Because it took a little bit before he killed out his current skirmishers. He only really took down 1. And by that point, I had killed something in the middle as well. So I'm up in these activations, which means I can just wait with the stuff I really care about. Knowing that that's the case, what I think might have been a little bit better play on his part, and I know he listens. I'm just not saying name because I don't know if that matters. Some people don't like that. I probably would have just tried to overload one portion of the board. Let me have, say, the far side, and you put enough here that because pound for pound, your units knock mine out, mostly, other than, okay, the Wild Hunt, sure. But all these other units over here, if Thunder Riders go into the Maidens, they're probably gone. Go into either of these skirmishers, the Keaneers, gone. You hit the Drake in the side, reasonable chance that it goes away. Maybe not perfect, but pretty close. I probably would have put both on this side and said, hey, you want your cav over there? Go ahead, have them. Yeah, I would have put my warriors on this side, the Costco warriors. But that's fine. I have like 2 units that can crack through yours, and you're going to get in your own way for a little bit. So that's sort of my thought. I might have tried to do a little bit more overload, kind of give up the 1/3 of the board to really try to slam into this, knowing that you win the battle per hit, and you've got to get that parity down. You can't let it be where you've run out of stuff to do, and I still have 2 to 3 things. Because then what I would love is to go first, get to do the thing I really want, and I still get the last 2 activations. And a lot of these rounds, for setup purposes, having the last ones is very big. That's me personally. That's what I would have tried. Not saying it would have worked for sure. But at the end, we didn't square out the rest of it. Obviously, I would have started going up in some points. It would have taken some time. But, and even this, what we played is, hey, even if this goes in his direction, it very well could. Even if this goes in his direction, there's too many units. I'm just going to clog it up. You can score this all you want, but I'm going to score the other ones. So the points still won't be very high, but it'll end up being enough. All right, so let's talk about it in general. For units that I feel better about than I originally did, that I played in the army, the Seaneer Riders, I like them better than I originally thought. Now, maybe that's because I happen to be at the flank shots and I was a spot where no one could get to me pretty well. But I do think if you're crafty with them, that they can do you some real good. So them, I rank a little bit higher than I originally thought, especially as a little 3-pack, being able to use the flute formation. Other things, Crown Guardians, I thought were good, and they were good. The Maidens are super finicky. If someone can hit them well, you're just going to lose them. But you don't really have a good strong spot for your characters. Myrmidons, I guess. But I want to put seed markers down. Glasgow Warriors, obviously, those guys are great. And the Drake with the Rune Sea on it was just putting more output than I think I originally realized what it could do. Between shots and potentially attacks. All of that. You get a lot out of that, especially since they're already aimed. Did anything perform worse than I thought? The CNSC, I thought the spells would do me some good, and I never bothered casting any of them. I can make you -1 in March. Cool, but you're already into me. Didn't matter at that point. Hey, if you got 2 seed markers, they bloom, and all of that. He was spread out enough and didn't have spare seed markers, effectively. Friends are currently in contact. One of them, hey, they got to be touching to get that. Okay, Propagate probably could be useful, just didn't happen. Disseminate, if you have Spring or Summer, you get both. It just didn't happen. And Obfuscate, yeah, you have to have 2 seed markers and outside of 8. It just wasn't happening. You had Juggernaut in most of the units. So I wasn't getting seed markers when I needed it, and I couldn't get off the spells fast enough because you also had fewer activations. So spells didn't use any of them. I do want to try it again. My other list, actually, I put her back in, and I gave her Winter instead, and I'm going to test that out next week. This week I didn't get a chance to because I played some Horse Heresy instead. Tausi as the Warlord was great. I think his ability is really good. I am trying out next time with the Warsea as my Warlord, but I thought that was pretty good. So, when I think about the army in general, here's the way I put it in the other video, and it still holds. I view Weaver Courts as a 10-story tall room where you walk in a door on the 5th floor and there's only a rope in front of you. And you can climb up or you could fall down. I feel like they have a rather high ceiling. Currently is how I feel now. Maybe when I play more, maybe I'm going to change my mind about that. But for the moment, I feel they have a pretty high ceiling. But that ceiling is very tenuous and very difficult. You need the correct seed markers to bloom at the correct times. You just need seed markers at the right times. I need the right particular timing. The Tao seed being able to get something to bloom off. Like I said, that one turn, hey, I was able to get the shock, which is what I really needed. So kind of without realizing the way I did it, it worked well. I think there's a lot of upside, but I think you need it to go the exact right way. I think if someone hits you the wrong way, like I said, you're on a fifth floor, and if you accidentally let go or lose your strength, you're going to fall hard. I think they have a high ceiling, but I think they have a very low floor. Said a lot of those units, other than a few, could easily get blown up by most standard units in the game. We don't have a whole lot of survivability. Okay, that's fine. Speed. Yes, we have a lot of flying that helps and a lot of speed. But you have to be careful of how you move them. If you reposition yourself poorly, or get out of position, or put yourself in a spot like the Scandinavian riders, the ones that can bomb, I see them for healing. Because the bomb, I think the problem is, one, it eats up seed markers. Two, I have to position myself potentially in a very bad spot. I won't be near the rest of my army. And then I also have to, here's the other thing. Oh, timing wise, did you put enough seed markers on them? Because the bomb doesn't do much without it. So then I have to delay using it. And maybe I can't delay with it at all. So using them for healing, I think is going to actually be pretty big. I think maybe that's the way to go. I feel if you're not getting the abilities at the times you need it, you're not able to capitalize on the +1 move at the times you need it, any of that sort of stuff, I think you have a lot of issues then. I think your characters, other than if you either put them on the dragon, one of them, or put them in a Gevra knight unit, your characters have no survivability. Because units they have to go into are super light, not defensive at all. Is it Myrmidons? Maybe a little bit more, but I'm just not a huge fan of Myrmidons, honestly. So I think currently they feel like they can do quite well. But I think you need to play them right. I think you have to do the right things with them. And maybe your opponent has to not counter them well. Perhaps. I think some armies would be better against it than others. I do think sort of a lesser activation bit has a little bit of a tougher time, maybe, just because you have less things to blow up my units with. Like, yes, your Thunder Riders will take them out, but then I got like 3 other units to do something to it. I worry about fighting a Nord army with a lot of cheap activations, and a lot of those cheap activations, even a unit of Raiders hitting a bunch of this stuff would crack through them. I got a Cav unit that's on like 2 defense, 2 evade. 2 evade's great, but if your defense is sitting at 2, I'm not going to stick around for very long. The Maidens are on what? 3s. 3s with no evade. So you have anything like that, you're getting right through them. So that's my current thoughts on them. I do think they're good. I do think they are a difficult army to play well, at least for the moment. And I'm not saying I played them well. I'm not sure I did. Like I said, I lucked into a few things. My hope is this week coming up, I'm going to get at least 1, maybe 2 games in with them. I have a completely different list I'm going to try out. And then however that game goes, I'm going to try out something else. I want to try out a variety of things and just see how I feel about them and how different units perform in different ways. As well as I am trying to look at, I think for the next list I did it. Yeah. My next list went with, what do we know we're getting in a reasonable amount of time? So no Wild Hunt and no Maidens, because essentially those are either not on the calendar or whether they were a to be determined. So I tried to go with other things, mostly stuff that we're going to have by December. But I also put a unit Glasgow Warriors because I don't see how you don't take them. I'm sure you can make a list. You can make a list without them, of course. I don't see how you make a list without them where I feel like I like the list more without them than putting them in. They're 220 points. They're not that expensive. I don't know what the other thing is. Even the Gevra Knights. Gevra Knights are super good. In my list, I have a unit of them. But, they serve a little bit different purpose. I need something that can stand and take the punch. Now, they can take it pretty well because they have 7 wounds. But the other warriors start at 4 with 6 wounds. This army needs something that can stand there and actually get hit and not just be evaporated. And like that, Kron Guardians and like the Wild Hunt are like your options. So I kind of feel you kind of have to have those. I said the Gevra Knights I think are super, super good. I'm very excited to use them. I'm going to try them out with Spellcaster character because I'm thinking maybe going up front, maybe get some spells in. I don't know. It's just the option I'm going with. I don't think, mostly because also I want to try out the War C on the dragon to try a more close combat form. That's probably a worse form. But again, I want to try out the good and the bad and see what I think. But all right, if you have tried the army, let me know your thoughts. If you're interested in it, anything like that, say so. I forgot to say, but we do have the discount code below, Train Kickers. So if you're buying any of the holiday stuff or anything like that whatsoever, we can save you 10%. Helps out the show as well. Helps make sure we keep doing this. For other things you're going to see, I'm going to have another battle report or discussion about it next week for you, or the end of this week. I'm working on painting on a bunch of the stuff and trying to finish assembling some stuff. All my butterflies are now together, at least. Or, sorry, moths. I have a little bit more of that to do. I have my Uroni that I'm working on painting on this week. So this week, the goal is finish these. The riders need to be done. The rest of it's done, but I have to finish the riders. Make sure every model I have is assembled. And work on probably getting to some other Uroni. I'm also going to be talking more 30K. I played a game today. I already recorded the what were my thoughts before the game. I'll record a what were my thoughts after the game. I'm going to release them probably as one. Discuss the game as well. And then from there, we're going to see that I'm probably going to start putting together some board game videos because PAX Unplugged is in a week and a half. Now, they do a Conquest tournament there. I'm just not participating in it because I do board games instead there. Though, if you are in the Jersey area, we are currently at Maplewood Hobby taking a look at doing a Conquest tournament maybe beginning of December. And then, if not then, hopefully a little bit later into January. I know the very end of November, by the time you're hearing this, at Wargamers Guild, further down in Jersey, doing a tournament there on 28th or 29th. I forget what. If you look up on their website, they'll tell you. I don't have it in front of me. So, and I know up at Rogue State Gaming, up essentially right before we hit New York, they just had a sort of learn to play free play day this past weekend. And hopefully they're looking at maybe doing something, maybe might be in the new year, looking at that as well. So if you're anywhere near Jersey or this sort of tri-state sort of area, we have at least 3 different stores that have active ongoing communities. I also do know of a few others that have it, although I don't know if they have a good amount of players right now. Those are 3 stores with good communities. So, come on by, find our various Discords and stuff like that. Come out and play. I'm forgetting the one store. It's going to bug me. I had to open up my Discord to check because I will feel remiss if I don't mention them as well. Saga Concepts. Them as well. I know I was in a first league with that. However, that I just wasn't a big fan of the way First Blood is now, but they're changing that. We talked all about that. But I know they got some players as well, and at least awesome. I'm curious, how's your scene where you guys are? Like, so we have 3 stores I know have big followings. So I'm just not sure how big their following is. I've only gone there a few times. I haven't been able to get there as much. But we have a good showing in Jersey. And I know for PAX Unplugged, which is in Pennsylvania, that one, last time I checked, there was a good solid 12 or so people signed up, and that's a painting required tournament. If you are playing in that, I'm going to be stopping by for sure. Each day that they do something, I'm going to try to stop by at least a couple times, see how things are going, maybe talk to some players and all. But like I said, if you're on the East Coast of America, we got a lot going on. Come out and play. All right, well, on behalf of everyone at the show, then, that's a good hobby. It's great gaming.